Our off-balance sheet financing and leasing program is designed to assist companies and nonprofit organizations in financing new facilities through a variety of our leasing programs and options. And finally, the port's infrastructure financing program allows developers, municipalities, and regional organizations to finance public infrastructure, including streets and roads, street lights, public parking structures. This type of financing is often used in connection with mixed-use development. And while 40 years of port operations have provided basic maritime services and financing programs for public and private entities, there really remains too much unrealized potential. Perhaps some historical context is in order to understand why there was a need to create the Port Authority and why there has been challenges in realizing all of the potential of the port as a maritime operation and as an economic development agency. In the earliest days of its founding at the mouth of the Cuyahoga River, the city of Cleveland's growth was tied to the port. Great men and forceful leadership provided the context for the building of the historic Erie Canal that allowed Ohio farmers to bring their crops north to the Great Lakes and the markets beyond, and south to the Ohio River, the Mississippi River, and to the Gulf of Mexico. The canal was no small feat. With only $133,000 in the state treasury at the time, Governor Ethan Allen Brown and a young aggressive state legislator from Cleveland, Alfred Kelly, created a capital project with a cost of over $5 million, this in 1827. Ohio and Cleveland had leadership with political will and the determination to do great things. As a result, for decades, shippers moved grain from Ohio to the far reaches of North America and to Europe, and then with the iron boom in the 1870s, moved iron ore from the upper Midwest to smelters in the lower Great Lakes. Great companies built by legendary men with familiar names like Chisholm, Mather, Crawford, and Hanna were the beneficiaries of this shipping and robust trade. Cleveland was a center of economic and transportation activity, inspiring other great men of industry, including John D. Rockefeller and Cyrus Eaton, to build their companies in proximity to a working port. Through the decades, cargoes of coal, stone, and grain continued. But by the 1950s, power and influence brought great change to the shipping world, change that would not bode well for Cleveland and other Great Lakes ports. The advent of the St. Lawrence Seaway system was hailed by many on both sides of the Great Lakes as an economic and engineering miracle, creating navigation from the Great Lakes to the sea and providing lower-cost shipping from mid-continent to European ports. That system runs over 2,000 nautical miles from the shores of Lake Superior to the Atlantic. The creation of the Seaway, however, was a political compromise driven by powerful railroad interests and eastern seaboard interests. The effect of that compromise was that the lock capacity on the Seaway and the depth of Great Lakes shipping channels is significantly less than most ocean-going vessels require then and today. In short, ocean-going vessels, or at least most of them, cannot navigate the Seaway. And conversely, the largest Great Lakes freighters, those ships that we so admire when they port here in Cleveland, are forever bound within the lakes. A virulent anti-Seaway lobby had failed to stop the creation of the St. Lawrence Seaway, but did succeed in imposing significant constraints on the Seaway's ability to accommodate vessels of that era and today. Seaway opened in July 1959, but Cleveland's port did not realize great benefit from this new trade route. The primary obstacles for Great Lakes ports were and are an issue of size, the size of the Seaway locks and the depth of Great Lakes shipping channels. Seaway's current challenge, however, is not unique. Other canal systems and trade routes face similar challenges today as vessels extend beyond historic length and size. But while the Panama Canal pursues a $5.3 billion project designed to expand capacity and accommodate the world's largest container ships and supertankers, no such initiative is planned for the Seaway. As recently as 2002, the Army Corps of Engineers studied economic, engineering, and environmental aspects of updating the Seaway's complex system of canals, rivers, and lakes. That study and several prior proposals to expand the Seaway has been rejected by several interest groups as environmentally unsound. Seaway expansion is not politically viable. In addition to Seaway dimensions, there are other systemic reasons the Port Authority of Cleveland and Cuyahoga County has not realized its growth potential. Primarily, this has been an issue of land use. Land use for urban ports is a common and complex matter. In Cleveland, it dates from the earliest days of the city's ownership of the port land through the process of conveying that city-owned land to the newly created Port Authority, and of course, we know it continues today. Ports carry out a specialized function, and accordingly are characterized by specialized industrial plant and equipment. Some view this equipment and the related piles of raw material as eyesores. It is not uncommon to hear proposals that the port move to a remote area and eliminate the visual clutter of industrial uses. No more stone piles, no more coils of steel or chain link fences, no more warehouses or cranes, no more port. In fact, the tension between a port and other land uses has been a matter of discussion for many years, and the recent community dialogues regarding Whiskey Island and the relocation of Eaton Corporation to the lakefront are just the latest iterations of this important and very legitimate debate. Eaton is one of Cleveland's great companies, historically and today. An industry leader with global operations, Eaton's headquarters would be a great centerpiece for the redevelopment of the port's land. As widely reported, the Port Authority with the City of Cleveland had worked over many months to accommodate the request of Eaton in creating a corporate headquarters on the lakefront. And notwithstanding the myriad challenges of locating a corporate campus in the midst of a working port, the Port Authority attempted to work through the issues for the proposed headquarters site. Eaton's headquarters would have been the first initiative of a transformative redevelopment of port land as our maritime operations commenced the process of migration to a proposed new state-of-the-art facility. That redevelopment was and continues to be pursued in concert with the City of Cleveland, consistent with the city's lakefront plan commenced by former Mayor Jane Campbell. The Port Authority and the City of Cleveland did truly endeavor to accommodate the needs of Eaton to achieve completion of this important project, but of course it did not come to pass. The issue of land use has considerable history. Debate regarding corporate presence on the lakefront dates to the earliest days of the Port Authority's creation. There have been many proposals for alternative use of port land, from the redevelopment of the west side of the harbor by Litton Industries in 1969 to the building of the convention center proposed in each of the last 10 years. In these cases, I should say, and the other proposals for redevelopment of port land, three primary questions are always raised. First, can the port relocate? Second, how long will it take? And third, how much will it cost? The answer to the first question is relatively easy. Yes, a port, our port, can relocate.